from conception to 10 years old is what I call a core imprint. Everything that happens is brand new, and it makes an imprint into your brain. This is the event. This is the meaning. That meaning gets reinforced by the next event, and it feels the same. Guess what? That imprinted into your brain, and that imprint just grows and grows and grows. It is critical that you go all the way back into the womb and deal with any rejection, anything that's there. Again, we're not shaming, blaming, or condemning. We're helping you to rewrite your beliefs. And when you know the truth will set you free. If you're not free, you don't have the truth.
Welcome to Linda's Corner. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about healing from the wounds of toxic or absent parents. I'm delighted to welcome Papa Ray Hurst. Ray is an international speaker and coach, a pastor, missionary, author, artist, and poet. You can reach Ray at his website, ilapnow.com, and I'll include a link in the show notes. Welcome, Ray. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. This is one of my greatest passions, is sharing this message.
And I'm so glad, because I think it is an extremely important message to share. Because when we start off rough, it affects us for the rest of our lives. It doesn't have to, but it will, unless we recognize that it is a part of us and we do something about it. And that is a message of hope, which is really what I'm all about, is that this does affect us, but it doesn't have to forever. In fact, when I checked out your website, there was a quote that I just loved. It said, "Never base your self-worth on your past. It was a life lesson, not a life sentence." I thought that was so beautiful. Would you mind kind of expounding on that a little bit?
Yes. Feelings buried alive will never die. So it's extremely critical. Is what I like to share is understanding your owner's manual. So we are a body, soul, and spirit. Our soul is our mind, will, and emotions. So let me just back up a little bit. There's no perfect parent, and I didn't have perfect parents, and I wasn't a perfect parent. So we are going to make mistakes. But so let me unpack a little bit what happens is your brain literally remembers everything that ever happened. So your brain is constantly doing a research of your whole life, every moment of every day, to determine what's going to happen in the next moment based on 100% of what happened in your past. Now, this is really critical to overcome your father wounds, particularly, and your mother wounds, is your brain is going to, this is break it down to the very beginning, from conception to 10 years old, is what I call a core imprint. Everything that happens is brand new, and it makes an imprint into your brain. This is what meant, this is the event, this is the meaning. Now, with that meaning gets reinforced by the next event, and it feels the same, guess what? That imprinted into your brain, and that imprint just grows and grows and grows. Now, you can be 50, 60, 80, 90 years old. Your brain is going to perceive this same type of event with that same type of meaning if we never go back to the original event and correct the meaning we gave to it. So this comes to the father wound, the mother wound. Is here comes the father comes home. He's tired, he's exhausted, he's overwhelmed. He just doesn't have anything to give. And the child's like, "Daddy, Daddy." And the dad's like, "No, I don't have time. Don't you see that I'm tired?" Or just says something kind of off the cuff, offhanded. The child, like young, pre-10 years old, boom, imprint. Daddy doesn't care. Okay? You have 40 thoughts a minute, 70,000 thoughts a day. Well, that fast, your brain is off to another thought. So as a child, your brain is running in hyperneuroplasticity, simply meaning it's sucking in way more information than you can as an adult because everything's new. Here's this child perceiving that dad didn't care, doesn't want to, but that fast another event occurred. The problem is that event had an imprint. That event gets reinforced. Yes, there are good times, but remember, your brain does not forget the events that happened, and it made an imprint. I talked to, as a personal transformation coach, I talked to so many people. One of my first questions is, tell me about your father when you were 5, 6 years old. Oh, my father loved me. I'm like, was your father available? Well, he was busy. He was really providing. He was a good provider. I said, did you feel secure? Were you able to go to him? Well, he wasn't really available. Like, yeah, now we're getting to this core. If you're struggling with insecurity, fear, doubt, worry, and anxiety, there's a very, very good chance somewhere, all the way back to conception, there is a part of you that felt unwanted, unloved, unworthy, unaccepted. And if we don't go back, now let me just make a correction here, our disclaimer. We never, ever blame or shame or condemn anybody. There's no parent that's perfect. So we're not here to shame, blame, or condemn your parents, by no means. The key is your brain perceived something. And if you never change that perception, it is truth to you, no matter what happened. So we're not, again, this is so critical. No blame, no shame, no condemnation. You are the one, you're the author. So God cannot change your mind, or he would already done it. The devil cannot change your mind, or he would already done it. So if God could stop your thoughts and put new thoughts in, he would have done so. He would never let you suffer with the thoughts you have. If the devil could stop you and change your thoughts, you'd never think well. So it's really critical that we alone are the author of what's in our mind. We wrote it. Guess what? We can rewrite it.
And that is really important to recognize. So what you have said, I'm just smiling here because I am 100% on board. And I love the way that you are presenting this. And I think it is beautiful. So let's go over it. And we may even say the same things a couple of times because what you're saying is so important. I wanted to listen, but I also wanted to stop and take notes. And I really couldn't do both very well. So as we repeat things a little bit, I think it will also help the people who are listening, because perhaps there are those who are hearing this message for the very first time. And this is new information like, wait, what? What are you talking about? So let's go back. We have from the first years of our life, we have a period of time that we are imprinting information where everything is new. And each time something new happens, we are our marvelous little teeny tiny brain in this teeny tiny little body is creating, I want to be able to predict what is going to happen from what has already happened. And so it comes in with this information and says, okay, this happened, so I need to attach a meaning to it. Dad was busy. So what does that mean? Well, I think it means that I am unlovable. I think it means that he doesn't like me. I think it means, and we come with our reasons that maybe don't match reality. And this is really important to understand because our youth, these informative years, there are many people who have parents who are abusive or cruel, and it's horrible. But 100% of us have parents who are human.
Yes.
And can be tired and can be overwhelmed and can be dealing with their own stuff. So this message isn't just for those who have grown up in an abusive household. These are for people who were born to parents, period, because all of us, we can misinterpret what is happening. And what you're explaining, where someone is tired, someone is this, it matches very much with my personal story. I had wonderful parents. They were wonderful, loving. If you met them, you'd say, oh my gosh, these are the kindest people in the whole world. But when I was 6, my mother endured an emotional trauma and it flattened her. And from that time, there was a wall. She was checked out. And my interpretation as a 6-year-old was, it must be my fault.
Yes,
What did I do?
This is, oh my God. So thank you for bringing that up. That's huge.
Yes. And then I'm unlovable. I am unlovable.
Yes. Yep.
That's the new message. And that is the message that I carried forward for decades because it seemed absolutely true. There's something wrong. Even the nicest, most kind people in the world can't love me. And that kind of feeling that we have, because how many people feel like I'm not good enough?
Oh, so way too many. They say the graveyard's the richest place in the world because that's where people take their dreams, their goals, and their visions, and they die with them. Why? Because they feel inadequate. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel good enough. Why? So your favorite word should be why. Everything is why. Because when you're curious, you cannot be angry. But when you're curious, you learn. Is you're struggling. Why? Where'd that come from? Why? Where'd that come from? Every time you come up with an answer, say why. Where'd that come from?
And I
Take
love
it all the way back. And interestingly enough, it literally goes back to conception. We have helped counsel people through feeling rejection at conception and all the way through the womb, in the time in the womb. It is critical that you go all the way back into the womb and deal with any rejection, anything that's there. Again, we're not shaming, blaming, or condemning. We're helping you to rewrite your beliefs. And when you know the truth will set you free. If you're not free, you don't have the truth. All we're doing is finding the truth. That's it. No shame, no blame.
A reason or a point where I can recognize, did I find the truth? And the answer will be, do I feel free?
Yes.
That's my measuring stick. How do I feel? Do I feel free? Do I feel happy? Do I feel like I can do this? If the answer is yes, check. And if the answer is no, then we're not there yet. And I also love that when you talked about, let's ask why, that the why should lead to curiosity and not to blame.
Yes. Oh, 100%. If you're going to, it's impossible to be free if you're going to blame or shame. You cannot be free. So Dr. Joe Dispenza says you have 40 thoughts a minute, 70,000 thoughts a day on average. 50% of what you're thinking today is the same as you were struggling with yesterday. If you're blaming and shaming, that's the energy, number of thoughts you're using to blame and shame is all the thoughts that you cannot use to progress into your future and to grow yourself. You can't do both. You can't go left and right at the same time. When you're blaming and shaming, it literally tears your body down. When you get into the deep dive of the neurochemicals, the vagus nerve, and all that, is the more negative you're thinking, it creates negative energy into your body, which deregulates the cellular structure of your body, which causes sickness, allows sickness, diseases, and illness to set in much quicker, which then deteriorates your thinking and your ability, your cognitive thinking processing. And it all works together. When you're negative, you're going to destroy your body literally from the inside out with illness, sicknesses, and diseases. You're going to be more susceptible because your body has deregulated, all because of how you think. A lot of studies on the, resetting the vagus nerve. the gut biome, and all these different meditations, breath work, sound bath, prayer, yoga. But it all comes down to this. It is what do you believe? Stress is not what you're thinking. Stress is what are you believing about what you're thinking about. So it gets down to the core.
Stress is what you're believing about what you're thinking about.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
So breath work, sound bath, prayer, meditation, anything is a distraction until you get down to your core beliefs. Your gut biome is regulated by your thought process. You look into epigenetics. Your sickness and diseases and illnesses are driven by the deregulation of your cellular structure of your body, by your autonomic nervous system, which is driven by your core beliefs. The vagus nerve is all driven by the core belief. So there's all these fancy descriptions of all to do all this and meditating and all. It comes back to where is the driver from it? Stress is nothing more than the reaction to your beliefs. Because if you looked at an event and you attach zero meaning to it, there is no neural response to it. So when you go into a stress response, is the neurochemicals, cortisol and adrenaline are the big ones. There's a number of other chemicals. The adrenaline makes your heart race faster, dilates your pupils, stops your digestive, helps you to fight or flight. There goes the freeze, which means you do nothing, which we don't really talk about. So the other part that happens is cortisol. Cortisol takes your cognitive thinking, dramatically drops it from as high as 720 bits of data to 20 bits of data in a nanosecond. What happened? Your brain did a research of your whole life in a nanosecond, came up with every traumatic event that's associated with the perception of what do you think is about to happen. The cortisol takes your cognitive thinking away, so it takes all your creativity to, I need to be safe. If you're an introvert, you're going to pull in. If you're an extrovert, you're going to fight. So it doesn't, being an introvert or extrovert is neither good nor bad. It's just who God created you to be. And that's how you're going to react. The key is your brain researched what? It researched your whole life, primarily your core. The first 10 years. That's the core imprints. That is the strongest belief that you have because it is the original initial belief that got built on and got built on and got built on and got built on. Your conscious mind is not remembering it. Your subconscious mind has stored it. And now, in a nanosecond, you perceive a threat. Your brain researches that, says, wait a minute, this is not good. Cortisol takes your cognitive, creative thinking, so you're just not there going, well, if I do this or if I do that. No. Boom, fight or flight. Do it now. And you ever see a very, very intelligent person doing something that makes you, wow, that was really dumb. It was not their IQ. Your IQ will never change unless you have a dramatic brain injury or a brain disease. Your EQ, your emotional awareness, your ability to function creatively, your cognitive thinking drops dramatically. The more fear and the more times it happened, the more likely you are to drop very dramatically. And that's where you see people starting to do some things that you're like, whoa, what got into them? How did they get so crazy? It's their emotional awareness. Is they go into this stress response, that cortisol wipes out all that cognitive thinking. And it says, I need to be safe. So it is driven to be safe. The question is obviously going to be, well, how do I overcome that? This is what I call a very simple step, but a very hard process. Is I need to start looking at every event in my life and I say, Ray, why'd you do that? So I call it the simple 5 steps. Stop. Say, what are you thinking? Why are you thinking that? Is it true? What's the truth? Now, here's the key is I got to get to the why. Stop. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? If I never get to why am I thinking that, I'll never find it. So the why is always, always, always down there pre-10 years old. Always. And that's the hard process. The stop and what am I thinking is easy. I'm thinking that this guy's being a jerk and, I'm ready to fight with him. That's why. That's what I'm thinking. But why am I thinking that? Oh, my father left when I was 4 years old. I was mistreated in school. And so all these things, these abandonment rejection, and every church and every leader, every boss has some form of rejection there. So I'm starting to look at everything as a lens I'm going to be rejected. That's the why. Now I need to go all the way back to my father leaving when I was 4. I have to change that meaning. If I do not come up with a new meaning, nothing's going to change. So what I had to do is the Holy Spirit showed me after my second major depression over 9 years ago, I was 5 minutes away from suicide. And I broke through that. Holy Spirit said to me, Ray, nobody's coming to fix it. I'm like, wow, whoa. It was pretty, wow. But the second thing about 3 days later was what really changed my life forever. He said to me very clearly, Ray, they, meaning everybody who hurt me, was broken and empty. They could not give me what they did not have. That alone, they were broken and empty. They couldn't give me what they didn't have. Help me to rewrite the narrative. Help me to rewrite that or imprint. What was that imprint? Now, there are literally thousands of people that in my life that were broken and empty and couldn't give me what they didn't have. So I had to start picking it apart and just going back. And every time a challenge comes in my life, why? Why are you thinking that? What are you thinking? Why? Stop. What are you thinking? Why? And it's a daunting process. I'm going to be honest. That's why it's a hard process. You will never be able to find freedom if you don't say why. Stop. What am I thinking? Why? Remember, what do you believe about what are you thinking about is the reason for the stress. Why do you believe that? Stop. What are you thinking? Why are you thinking that is always tied back to a belief. You don't have a thought that's not tied to a belief. Every thought you have is tied to a core belief. Go back to that core belief. And I have so many people say to me, wow, I don't remember anything before I was 10 years old.
Right.
Your brain does. Your brain does. So if I would say to you right now, tell me about what happened when you were 4 years old, you'd be like, I don't know. Particularly people had a traumatic childhood. So it just takes a little time and just a little digging. And you just got to keep digging and you got to keep digging and your subconscious remembers it. And I always say to people, you ever walk into a room and you smell something and you're instantly in grandma's kitchen? And most people are like, yeah, well, I remember that. It's like, yes, it's stored in your brain. So your brain is a super powerful problem-solving machine that, number one, wants to keep you safe above everything. So it's hiding all them bad thoughts from you, from your conscious mind. But your subconscious has it all stored in there. So it's through some digging. And again, let me just clarify, we're never blaming or shaming anybody. And if you want to blame, shame, or condemn, no matter what happened. And we dealt with some people that had some very, very traumatic things happen. When they're able to forgive, now they need to go back and rewrite the meaning of who are they. Who are you because of this? So you could have forgave that person who hurt you, but who are you because of that? Who are you during that? Who are you after that? That's the key. You are not worthless. You are not less than. You are not forsaken. You are not rejected. You are not abandoned. So if you are not able to rewrite those meanings, your brain will always bring up the meaning that you said it was. So critical to change those meanings. And it will radically. I got so many stories of clients where we go back, change the meaning, even in the womb, particularly second trimester. The mother finds out she's pregnant. The father finds out they're pregnant. One of the father and the mother doesn't want to be pregnant. And we find a lot of times a rejection in that second trimester. And all we do is speak the truth. When you know the truth sets you free. If you're not free, where's the lie? Find the lie, speak the truth, you'll be free. If you remember an event in your life and it still hurts, you're not free. You've not been healed. Somewhere there's a lie attached to it. Speak the truth and you will be free.
What you're saying is so true, and it is so important. And you have given an overview, an umbrella that fits every situation, which is so important because everyone's experiences are different.
Yeah.
But the basic feelings and those interpretations are going to have a common theme. For example, as you're describing what happened and what does that say about me? For example, a child is raped.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that say to them? The interpretation is often, I am dirty.
Yeah.
I am garbage. I am worthless. So if we go through this process and recognize the lie is all of those conclusions, that the truth of what happened, the abuse happened. But if we can detach the meaning that we put into ourselves, connecting that event with our interpretation of it, and then it can be, this happened. And who am I? Am I garbage? Am I worthless? Am I dirty? No, I am a child of God. I have infinite worth. I have value. I am wonderful. And if we can take that interpretation away, take the lie away, and feel free, then you know that the healing is taking place.
100%. 100%. So when you look at this event, you can do one of two things. You can look at it as a human perspective. What would other people think if they knew this about me? So we can take on that identity. Oh, you're, let's go back to the rape, because that is probably the most traumatic thing that can happen. We have clients that were sexually abused by their fathers. And the key is, okay, and this is horrible. You have to look at that and say, my father was broken and empty. He couldn't give me what he didn't have. Or any abuser, it doesn't matter if it was sexually, it was mentally, it was physical, no matter the abuse, no matter what happened. Number one, that person was broken and empty. They couldn't give me what they didn't have, and they took what they didn't have, and they shouldn't have. Now, the key here is, do I look at this in my human perspective, or do I look at this as, how does God see me? God does not see me as worthless, broken, used, abused. He looks at me as a whole person. The only thing that's going to keep me down after that event is how I keep looking at myself. Now, if we want to take this to a whole spiritual level, is the enemy, the devil, will only promote to you what you already think about you. The devil will never promote what you do not believe. He's not going to promote to get big, crazy tattoos all over your face, because this is not even in your thoughts. It's not even in your comprehension. But to get angry at somebody, to scream at somebody, yeah, if you've done that, I think we all done that. It's easy to fall in that trap. Why do I get so upset? Well, because that's how I think. And so the enemy is whispering in your ear, look, they just took advantage of you. You need to retaliate. So it's so easy to do that so quick. But when we go in and we look at this and we start changing the meanings that we give to this, the enemy cannot promote what we do not want. And this is why it's so critical that we can learn to be okay with nothing but Jesus. Because whatever I want, whatever I need the most is the pitfall that I'm going to fall into because I'm desperate for it. When I become desperate for anything because of the lack in my past, that is going to be my pitfall, because I will never, ever get enough. My need is always driven by my lack in my past. If I do not correct my past, my needs in my future will destroy me. Let me say this again. This is so critical. What I need the most, the pitfalls in life are right in front of what I need the most. What I need the most is what I lacked in my past. If I don't heal from the lack of my past, I'll be driven and I will fall down chasing what I need. Now, when I don't need anything but Jesus, I'm okay if I don't get it. Oh, I want to have that steak. I want to have that nice car. I want to have that nice house. I want more money, but I don't need it. So if I don't get it, I'm okay. I'm happy. Now, if I have that nice car and didn't pay the insurance on time and somebody crashes into it or somebody steals it, okay? I didn't need, and so I'm not distraught and devastated because of it. Or something else happens. If I don't need, sure, I'm not happy, but I'm not distraught and I'm not going into spiraling out of control into depression because I don't need, but I want. Our needs, again, are driven by our lack. When we learn to be okay with nothing, nothing can steal our peace. No matter what you take away from me, I'm still at peace because I have Christ in me. I don't need nothing. I want, but inevitably, sooner or later, the things we have around us that we want the most are going to be gone. When I desperately need that, I'll be devastated. But if I don't need, there's a huge difference between need and want. Again, my needs are out of my lack. My lack is always at the core. The core is conception to 10 years old. When I go back with the help of the Holy Spirit, I am the author of my brain. I wrote in there what it means. If I go in there and rewrite that, you will know the truth. The truth will set you free. If you're not free, somewhere you don't have the truth. Guess where the father of lies stands? On a lie. Only on a lie. All I got to do is help you walk in the truth, and the Father lies is gone. That's it.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's amazing. It is so simple. After my second major depression, where I almost lost my life, I started begging God, it can't be this difficult because I'm not that smart. It has to be simple. It really can't be that hard. And the Holy Spirit said, it's not that hard. And he starts showing me it's very simple. When you know the truth sets you free. It's that simple. It's not complicated. We got to stop making it so complex. Jesus said, my yoke is light and my burden is easy. So if we're under a burden, it's because we're living under a lie somewhere. And I realize there are some people out there who had life way worse than I did. My life wasn't exactly, I lost 40 years to anger, bitterness, and rage. And I know some other people have been through worse. Guys, I plead to you, stop blaming and shaming and start finding God's kingdom truth about who you are because of the event. When you change it to the truth, you will be radically free. I'm not a big fan of medication. I am not a doctor. I have never tell anybody to go off medication. Never.
Of course not.
I'm not a fan of any medicine at all if it's not 100% necessary. If you're dealing with anxiety, fear, worry, depression, find the root. Find that core. What happened in your core? What is God's truth? Speak the truth. You are not abandoned. You are not rejected. You are not worthless. When you get that truth, you will be surprised at how much your life will radically change. Now, let me just say, this is a process. Everything in life is one thing, one step. We do not jump up mountains. Everything, just simply take one step. Take one thing. That's it. Just one, not two events, one event. Take it simply one step. That's all. Once you take that one step and you feel comfortable, take one more step. That's it. God does not expect you to run and just radically shift everything overnight. It's not what he expects of you. But he wants you to take the one thing and just simply take it that one step. That's it. Once you feel secure, it's like you're climbing up the face of a mountain. You ever watch a mountain climber? They reach up and they grab a hold, and when their hand is secure, then they move the other hand. When that hand is secure, then they move their foot. When that foot is secure, then they move the other foot. Again, it's one thing, one step, and you will change your life.
That is a beautiful message, Ray. Thank you so much for sharing that today. This is important. So much. We are just on the same page. Everything that you were saying, it's like, yeah. Yeah, I knew that. This is awesome. This is cool. So, and I think the message needs to be shared over and over and over again. And it's so beautiful to have it from different voices and from different ways. And I loved how you brought in very much it's so physiological. And to be able to understand the neuroscience behind it helps people to say, oh, okay. Because when you talk about beliefs, a lot of people check out. It's like, don't care.
Yeah.
You know, what did the doctor say? You know what I mean? And to be able to say, hey guys, no, this is real. This is the way our bodies work. This is the way our mind works. This is the truth. This is the truth.
Yeah. I wrote a book, Daddy, Why Don't You Love Me? A father's blessing to a son and a daughter, healing the wounds of the absent abusive father. And here's where I go through the father's blessings, starting at conception, first, second, third trimester, infant, toddler, youth, teen, adult. And so we have specific things we say every step of the way along there. And when I do my coaching, that father's blessing moves the needle for healing more than anything else we do. even with people that said they had good parents. I said, can I just stand as your father and bless you as a son or a daughter anyway? And they're like, yeah, no problem. Just blows them away. Totally blows them away. Because we're speaking truth to every segment of life that they didn't realize there was a wound in. And again, the truth. Truth sets you free. Very much. So much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My number one goal in life is I want to be for the world what the world was not for me when I needed them the most.
Thank you for what you're doing and for what you have become. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
In closing, I'd like to share a quote from Lily Hope Lucario. She said, "When you grieve toxic, abusive parents, you don't just grieve the abuse, you grieve everything you didn't have." For any of our listeners who have endured toxic, abusive, or absent parents, I express my sympathy and the assurance that your past doesn't need to define your future. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. Please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. And if you'd like to heal your life from the inside out, there is a free video series at hopeforhealingfoundation.org. Just click on the free stuff tab. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.